your kids responsible for your debts after you die? Hi, I'm Claire Langton-Yanowitz at the Yanowitz Law Firm, and we help families when a loved one passes away. We've been helping families for 29 years with wills, trusts, and probate. Okay, let's get started. So a common question that I get from clients is, what happens to my debts when I die? Are my kids going to have to pay those off? And so that is kind of a complicated question, something that's easy to say, but kind of takes a bit of a response. So I decided to create a video. First, your children are not, personally responsible for your debts unless in some way they co-signed your loan. So, if you got a mortgage and they personally guaranteed that mortgage or co-signed whatever loan you have, then they can be personally held responsible for, paying off that debt. However, good news, if they haven't co-signed, that's your debt, okay? They're not responsible for paying off your debt. However, if your estate is probated, or even if you have a trustee, the person, basically in charge at your death, the successor trustee or the personal representative, that person is going to be in charge of paying off your debt with your own money, okay? So just because you die doesn't mean, Visa says, oh, they died, we won't get paid now, we'll, write this off. Those creditors are still going to want to get paid after you die. And the probate rules are very specific about who gets paid first. So if you have like a home with a mortgage on it or a car loan, then basically, proceeds from the sale of a home are going to first go to pay off your mortgage. Same thing with a car loan. If for some reason the loan is bigger than the piece of property, then they're going to have to seek elsewhere to get payment. But most of the time they aren't underwater. So, the house sales and the house proceeds from the sale get used to pay off that mortgage. Okay. It's very important that if you are saying, the home goes to Sally, you consider, do you want Sally to get the home with the mortgage paid off first? Or do you want Sally to have to either come up with her own money to pay off the mortgage or have to refinance the home so that the mortgage, she has a new mortgage? So that's something to know when you're kind of writing that gift into your will or trust. Second thing, so after you pay off these loans that are have security interests, like a car loan or a home, then you move on to unsecured debt. So unsecured debt is debt that isn't attached to any particular thing. It's your credit card bills, it's the taxes you owed at year end, it's your child support payments. And so there's rules in the probate code on who gets paid first. And so, there's some priority creditors like, the funeral home people, the IRS, that sort of things are priority creditors. And then, so once those bills are satisfied, then you move on to less priority creditors. So like a credit card would be a less priority creditor, okay? And so you can see that if there's enough money to satisfy all the debts, it's really easy to just pay off all the creditors. But when the debts exceed the amount of assets in the estate, it can get very complicated on who gets paid what. If you move on to the unsecured creditors and there's not enough money to pay all of them, then what they do is they get a percentage they get a percentage of what they're owed. So let's say they're owed $100, but there isn't $100 to pay them off. There's only 40. They only get, 40 cents on the dollar is what the creditors are going to get. Now, the family, there's different rules on exempt assets of, what the family's entitled to get. So they're entitled to get, sometimes proceeds of relating to a house if there isn't a mortgage on it. For personal property, they're allowed an allowance during the time after death for a period of months. So there's some exempt property that's exempt from creditors for a period of time, the allowance for a period of time after someone dies, the homestead, assuming there's no mortgage on it. So there's different things that the family might be able to get even if the debts exceed the assets of the estate. So that's something to know. When the debts do exceed the assets, it's very important that you don't pay people off too early, okay? So there's a very systematic way to pay off creditors in a probate hearing. And so how that works is when you open probate, you publish notice in a newspaper that this probate hearing is going on. And basically, creditors have the opportunity to put claims on the estate during the 4 months after that publication in the newspaper, okay? So always 4 months after publication, we check the court records and see, did anybody make a claim? Did they owe money to anybody? And if they did, then we have to figure out, do the debts exceed the assets? And if so, what's, the, priority of how does everyone get paid in this scenario? And so you can see it can get really complicated in the event of an estate without enough assets to take care of all the debts. So if a personal representative pays off the creditors too soon, they pay the Visa bill and they pay whatever, a month after the person died, then it doesn't allow the time period clock to run, that 4-month creditors period to run, where everybody gets to raise their hand and say, he owed me money, he owed me money. You paid someone off too soon, and you can get in trouble for that. You can be held responsible in the event that the debts exceed the assets. So that is something to know. So if you ever work on an estate that has creditors, that the debts exceed the assets, it's really important to work with an attorney. It can be very complicated. You need to come up with a distribution plan and be aware of all the different levels of who gets paid first. And so we'd love to help you with that. If you're in this situation or you need some guidance when a loved one passes away, feel free to reach out to our firm, or if you know of someone in Minnesota who could need our help, we can help anyone in Minnesota, and we'd be delighted and honored to help you with that transition. Thank you so much for for your attention, and please subscribe to our YouTube videos so you don't miss out on any of the information that we post about probate, wills, and trusts. Thank you.